Thanks for joining me for another episode of Painting with a Maniac. It's been a long time since we did this on camera. I painted a lot off camera, but on camera, no. And because this here is the campaign for Judge Dredd, the miniatures game by Board Game. Enter the world of Judge Dredd and forge your legend in the streets of Mega City 1.
I am the law.
We're gonna paint the miniature and the stat card for the Clegs. They are pretty scary. I'm not going to go over all the stats, and it tells you like all of the information about the special rules that the Cleg High have, or the Clegs. They say Cleg, but I looked at them as Cleg High. But in here you can see that, but I just want to read what the role is, because I just love this. Is the whole reason why I picked these up. The role is an alien, flesh-eating, I'm just saying mercenary now, but this here is pretty much, they are crocodiles or alligators that are, you know, pretty big, pretty scary. They eat human flesh and any other kind of flesh that they want to eat, pretty much, and they can shoot guns too. So what else am I going to say about that? So let's jump in and look at the miniature, and we're going to do a painting. This set comes with 3 Clegs. I think I'm saying it right. Clegs, eggs, legs, Clegs, sure. So it comes with 3 Clegs. You can see here too, because I already painted them because I wanted to get the colors and everything down solid before I do a tutorial and be guessing. I'm like, maybe this is going to look good, maybe that's going to look good. We don't know. I already know what colors I use in this. I had them set aside for the tutorial, but I really love the look of these. Are pretty badass. I gave them yellow eyes. You can't really see there. Maybe you can. Ooh, yeah, you can see it there. Yellow eyes, you know, like the blue, like these guys are monstrous. Now the only thing you're going to notice that I did that is different, and that is, again, the size of the bases. I upgraded all the base sizes. I should get it in frame. All the base sizes I upgraded, even like the Dredd, Judge Dredd, and the civilians and everything else, and I did it accordingly so it all matches. It just, I wanted the bases a little bit bigger so I can put some more thematic stuff on it if I had to, or if I wanted to. Anyhow, that is what we're going to try to get an outcome of, or the way these look, the Cleg. Because I did paint these off camera and they turned out pretty good. I think they turned out pretty good anyhow for a quick paint job. And it's mostly using contrast paint, but there's a couple other paints in here. Just remember when you're painting it, if you don't have that specific name brand, just use whatever you have. And just have fun painting, that's all it is, really. Anyhow, let's go to the miniature and see what we got to start with. You can see here the Cleg. I already prepped him, and what I mean by prepped him is I changed the base out, and then you can see the rough texture here, and there's some other rough, there's rocks here, but all this is just sand and a little bit of cork or sponge. And when I say cork or sponge, a sponge like this, you know. Or you can use the insulation. I can't remember if it was the sponge or the insulation I use, and I had some insulation around there somewhere and I can't remember. It's the pink styrofoam insulation. I can't remember the specific name for it, but you just cut it up and you put it on, you put rocks on it, you can put trees, whatever you want that to it, really. And also what I did is I based it all in black. I know it's not black, but he was black. He was all based out in black. And then after that I did a really heavy dry brush of just white. Now, the color white I use and color black I use, it was black and it was white. You want to know name brands? I can't really remember, to be honest. But anyhow, we'll try to go as close as we can to this. This is just a beginner tutorial because I am just a beginner. I am nowhere near a professional painter. So let's go in and start off the base color, shall we? First color we're going to lay in is going to be the color of the suit, the bluish color. And the color I've chose to do is, again, I'm going off of the pictures and kind of maybe a little bit lighter or brighter because, again, Judge Dredd, I want them to stand out on the table. So I use this color for the pretty much the overall wardrobe without the weapons or the decals or anything. This is like the coverall color. It's the blue. You can see the color is contrast, and the way I mix this up is I'm going to mix up. It's probably going to be about half and half ratio, and that is like half paint, like maybe 5 drops of paint and 5 drops of contrast medium. Contrast medium, what is that? You can see the contrast medium. It's right here. And this here just, what the contrast medium does, what I understand, is that it just provides a little bit more longevity for you to paint with the contrast paint, as well as you can thin it down with this too as well. So that's why he's kind of like based all in white, and you can see all the black, because what I'm hoping to do is going to pop out the blue in the raised areas and less highlight we have to do, and it's going to make the recesses look darker. So let's go on and paint that one first. Paint is all laid out into my Army Painter wet palette. Army Painter is not supporting this, nor is Warlord Games supporting this painting video. Hopefully, when this airs, maybe I can get some sponsorship from Warlord Games or Army Painter to help with easing the product, so I don't have to spend more money to get more products for this. But I don't mind. If I have the money, I'll do it, because this is all I do. Anyhow, so you can see I have this, and I kind of lied with the blue. What I mean by lied is simply I put a mixture. It's kind of more like a 70-30, so 70% contrast and 30% of the medium. So pretty much, what does that mean? That means that pretty much, I'm saying pretty much a lot, jeez. It means that it's kind of a pretty simple ratio. It's 7-3, so 7 drops of color to 3 drops medium. If you want to do that, you can break it down even more. And I'm just using this little handle to try it out to see if I like it or not, because I used a really big one, like the older one, but I seen this, I'm like, this might be a little easier on my hands, but we'll see. And as usual, I might get my big head in the noggin. I'm stumbling black. My big head noggin in it, because I'm using my my better glasses for seeing what I'm painting, so just be aware of that if they're in the shot. I do apologize. So we are just going to do all of the blue first, so the coveralls. And I find the best thing to do with this is when you are painting, I hope this is in focus. Okay, good. When you're painting with contrast paint, what you want to know is that you want to keep your brush wet at all times. Well, at least that's what I do. I try to keep my brush wet at all times, and the reason being is because once the contrast paint starts drying and you try to apply more on top of it to a dry, like a somewhat dry but not completely dry, you're going to end up pulling the blue off, or the color off, and it's going to make it look horrible. So you can see here, this is pretty quick what I'm doing, just adding the blue onto it. I would love to see if anybody else painted any of their Clegs, or even if they painted them like in a different color, because if they did, I would love to see them, or a different style. I do know that the leader of the Clegs, like the Cleg leader, as in they're a Cleg, he was a judge at one point. Again, I don't know a lot of the lore for Judge Dredd yet, but I am definitely learning it. And I'm learning it as we go along by reading the books and then watching other videos online with everything. And it just, there's so much this universe is absolutely crazy. And you can tell I kind of jumped all over the place. And you don't want to jump all over the place too much when you are painting with contrast. And the reason why is because that drying thing, like I said, when it starts drying, it will just, you'll just pull the color off. So, am I still on? I'm still here. Now, I'll be back in a second. It looks like the camera's a little out of focus. I had to fix that. Sorry about that. The camera was in manual focus, not automatic focus, so it kind of kept going wonky where I'd move it out of the focus field. So we just fixed it. So anyhow, continuing on. Now, the reason why I'm starting off with this blue contrast paint is when I put the solids on, like when I say the solids, I mean like just the standard paint, like the acrylic paint, I can cover over where I kind of, if I went over in any spot. And that's just that for that. I hope this is still in frame and in focus. This is kind of like, I never did a painting with the Maniac video in such a long time, so I'm not feeling if this is adequate enough. Going over the straps, because in the pictures that I seen and how I painted the other ones is I did paint the straps blue and I just did some highlighting over them, and that's what we're doing here. So I hope everybody's enjoying this Judge Dredd journey with me, because it definitely is a journey for myself, because again, I don't know how to play a game. Learning it is interesting to do, It's a lot of fun to do too as well. I'm not going to complain one bit with it all because it's a phenomenal game. And plus too as well is with the comic books, where a day in Judge Dredd is a day in real life, or you go with the comic books, like a year in Mega City 1 is a year to us in real time. So that is like a really cool thing that I learned. I know I'm just rambling, and the reason why I'm rambling is because I don't want to just sit here and, you know, like not talk and paint. I could, then I could just fast forward it so, you know, you're bored. But I notice if anybody is like me, when I'm doing painting on my own, I'll throw a YouTube video on. Necessarily have to be a painting video, but it kind of helps, or just some video where somebody is talking about something that is interesting that I want to click on in the first place. But also too as well is it just helps break up this silence of painting. Me, I love painting in silence because I got so much stuff going on in my head at one time that you know, I'm never actually silent. So you got a little bit of blue onto that part, but I'm going to be painting that with silver, a silver color, so don't have to worry about that too much. I really like how the blue turns out. You know, what I like to do just before this completely sets is I'll go back in again with a little bit of the blue on my brush, even when it's still wet, and I will go in all the crevices. You can use a smaller brush if you want. I don't. I just use what I got in my hand at the time. And you can see some spots where you kind of screw up. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it helps with the shadowing already, like I said. And if I put a wash onto it, like the other clays that you've seen that I showed does not have a wash. And that's kind of means that the contrast paint is working, because you want contrast paint to take the job of your highlighting and contouring all at once. You know, we highlight and we contour with contrast paint. Yes, with the contrast paint, but we highlight and contour with the washers, and then, you know, like the base paints and the layer paints and everything else. This is what we do. And, you know, like that's the way it is, but I don't know if other artists do it like this, but I like to just kind of give it a little bit of a nudge by just reshaping everything just slightly like that. So I'll be back in a minute after I get this done, because my big head is going to go in the frame so I can get a little closer to see it. I should clarify something actually, because I just realized that when I turned the camera off. I said that you have to keep your brush wet all the time, and you got to be careful painting on the contrast paint while the layer underneath is still on the kind of like the drying stage. So when I say by going over the contrast, like dipping it and do a little heavier into the recesses, because I know it's going to flow in there anyhow. But as you can see, I just still did it, but I did it as it was wet. Actually, that's a spot there. So as it was still wet. Now, if I did it without, before or doing it like in the awkward stage, like I said, I ended up pulling so much of this color off, and it would be clumpy looking, and it just would look horrible. So I wanted to, you know, make sure that that kind of made more sense in what I said, because I'm kind of, other words, I'm saying one thing and doing another, and that's not what happens. So I'm going to continue this. You can see it's still wet. I got maybe another minute or two to play with it. Let's see if I can miss the spot right. So a minute or two to play with this before it's going to be to the point that I can't do anything else with it, because it is almost where I'll be pulling off the color. So once this is all dry, we'll be back with the next step. Just zoomed in a little bit because I noticed my hand was covering most of the painting, so I just trying a different angle to see if that works. And actually, I'm just going to move my light over just a little bit. So you can see here, it's almost all dry. I recommend waiting till the contrast all dries. And you can see pulling there, you can whisk that away before it dries and so forth. I have a bad habit of being impatient and not waiting until contrast paint is dry. So I'm going to show you that bad habit right now, because I can't wait. I have to keep going. It's going to keep going. So next thing we're going to do is we are going to use lead belcher, and we're going to put it on over all of the metal parts that has to be metal. And we're going to be using a metal medium from AK Interactive, I think it's called, or just AK Paints. I can't remember, but just got AK right there, so I'm just going to say with AK. And this here is, again, some kind, it's like a retarder, or almost where it kind of stops the metal from drying so quickly, so you have a little bit more time for painting and helping get rid of them paint strokes and everything else. So I'm just going to mix that up. Again, the ratios, unless otherwise stated, is always going to be like 30-70. So 7 of this to 3 to that. So that's kind of the ratio, or 1 to 3 if you really want to break it down. So, you know, like 3 to this to 1 to that. But I'm going 7 to this to 3 to that. So I'll be back after I mix it, and we're going to paint all of the silver onto him. Here we go. It is all mixed up and ready to go. So we're just put a little bit of that on the brush at a time. And again, what I like to do with this is it's just to keep it wet at all times. You can see that I kind of made a little bit of a boo-boo right at this part here. But because we are choosing to use the thicker paint right now to put on the second part, or the metallic, it's going to cover over all of that stuff. Now, you don't have to put the metallic part on now. You can put it on whenever you want. I just kind of like doing it now because it was the closest paint. You can see when I hit it, it's kind of going out of focus and in focus. I apologize for that, but it is what it is until I get better equipment, and that will take time. Money is always a thing, and you know, it just takes time. You save money and you save until you have enough to get what you want, and then that's it. My big head in the painting, or in the video there, nope, good. So again, I am just going over, oh look, I made a mistake there. Now the problem with that is that this is over the contrast paint, so I'm just wiping it off. I know it's a little shiny there still, but you can take some water and just go through it. But the problem with that is when you do that, you might whisk off all of the contrast paint too as well. So we are not going to do that. We will leave that little flub and just try to fix it later. And while we're here, I'm just going to paint these parts of his build. Again, I'm not a professional painter by no means. If you came on here to look to see like a super paint job that is nice and clean and no mistakes or anything, you are in the wrong channel, because you will not see that here. You will see me learning as I go along. So I'm painting this part silver too as well. Because my brush has kind of got that little hook onto the end, I'm kind of using it to my advantage as much as I can, because it's a very small hook, and it can work to an advantage. When I say hook, it's kind of hard to get it in focus, but you know what it is. And I try to keep the hooks off of my brushes, like get the hooks out of there. But sometimes when I'm doing it, when I'm painting, it just ends up starting to hook. That could be because my paint brushes are cheap, or they're on their way out. It could be many things. I don't know. Again, I'm not a professional at this miniature painting. I've been doing it for a little bit, but I could not call myself a professional, because my quality of paint is not even close to what other qualities that I've seen, and it just, the quality that some of you out there can get on miniatures is just mind-boggling, because it's just so crazy with how much detail and everything else that can be done. I'm gonna have to add a little bit more of the lead belcher to my wet palette here, because it kind of seems like I am slowly running out. And plus, I'm not gonna bore everybody with painting the same thing like this, very delicate. So when I paint all of the metal, including his gun too as well, and that is his ankle bands, his wristbands, his weapon, and his harness that goes over the top of him, I'll be back to show you what it looks like with all silver paint. Hopefully it'll be dry too. Yeah! Now that the lead belcher is all dry, the next step we're going to do is we're going to paint over the lead belcher, and we're going to use a contrast paint. This is Hyandin Yellow. We're going to do it just completely straight out of the pot. There's no putting any of the medium into it or anything. I'm just trying to find my glasses here. We are actually just going to do it straight apart, like I said. It'll be a lot easier to do. We don't have to mix anything together. So let's do it, shall we? And remember, always shake your paint. I'm starting to kind of realize that I wish I had like a paint shaker. So that may be something that is going to be in the future of either making my own or buying one, depending, because I heard that they are expensive. I don't really know because I've never really looked into getting one, because I always thought, you know, like, what's wrong with just shaking it with your hands? But I do notice that a lot of the paints now, because they're getting a little older, or even it happens when they're newer, I didn't really notice too much, but it just it settles so quickly, and it don't matter how much you shake it, it still settles. So it takes you a little while to shake it enough so that it's usable. So that's why I'm thinking on getting a paint shaker. If you have one, let me know in the comments what you think of them, and if you built one and how you built one. I know I've seen some tutorials online where people have built things with like the jigsaw or drill and so on. So I'm curious to see if anybody did build one themselves, or did they actually just buy. I would like to hear both opinions, actually, because I like building things more than buying them, because it costs me less money, because I usually just have a lot of stuff laying around, and sometimes it's better to buy it instead. But if I could make it, and that the price difference is like not too drastic of a difference, because again, there's a point where you gotta say, hey, I need to just buy it like it is because I need this, and if I make it, it's gonna cost me almost the same. So do you know what I mean? Like, there's a point where you're just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm done, yeah, or, you know, I can make this. I like saying that to my friends all the time. They show me something, like, yeah, I can make this. Really? I'm like, no. But sometimes it's a yes, and you don't know until you push yourself. That's what I like doing, is pushing the shit. Yeah, but sometimes I push too hard. Now, that's enough of that. You can see here I am still applying this to all of the lead belcher, and it's kind of coming out as like the armor, yellow armor, or dirty, well, not dirty yellow armor, because there's another yellow that I really love using for that, and I can't remember the name of it for Pete's sake, but it's a yellow contrast, and I love the look of that yellow. It's a really dirty yellow, but I can't remember what it's called. So you can see there, I'm keeping on going. So the only parts that I'm not going to use the yellow on, obviously, is going to be the gun, because that's going to be covered with I can't even say that word, Biliscanum gray or Basilicum gray. I think, I'm not even looking at that, I'm just taking a guess, and that's the name of it, but I think that's what it is. I just about painted the stock of that with the yellow, so that's what I'm talking and I'm not paying attention. Oh, look, and I still got it right there. But what I'm going to do, because it's dripping, it was a little too much on my brush, I'm just going to kind of soak up with a can of it, and then I could just whisk it away with some water, but it's okay. So it's happened, and that's just that. So we're continuing on with painting all of the lead belcher except for the gun. Iander yellow contrast paint. Back to the questions at hand here about Judge Dredd specifically. I would like to know people's thoughts if they did play Judge Dredd, the miniature game. I do have the newest one, and recently friends of mine at Mecca Games, they actually gave me the old Mongoose Publishing main game and a lot of expansions and everything. They're awesome over there. When I say they gave me, it was like again the old stuff, and they were going through all of the stuff that they have and clearing out stuff, and you know, they were nice enough to give it to me. Didn't have to pay anything because I know Kevin and Brad since a long time, and we kind of do the thing where we just kind of help each other out. I really like that sort of deal. Not to get free stuff or anything, but I mean like just helping people out in general, because it's always good, I think, to help people out. So what we're going to do is eyes yellow too as well, but we're going to use two different color yellows. The first yellow is obviously this yellow, and I'm just going to go in. Actually, I better use a smaller brush for this because I learned from doing it the last time. I had to clean it and do it again because the brush was too wide. This one here is a really old brush, and it is it may be Games Workshop. I don't know exactly where this brush came from. That there's a name on the handle, but it's pretty beat up and you can't really, some of it is missing because the wood kind of black wood or that. So there you go, just doing that. And then the other eye, we're going to be going over this with the yellow too as well, but we may just only cover a little bit of his eye with the other yellow, depending on how this all turns out. Because I know I painted it before, so I know what I am in for, but there's always what you call happy accidents, because there's always happy accidents. So I'm going to switch back my brushes again. I'm just going to grab the blue one here. It's the same size brush as the other one. It's a 4. I mean, the one previous to the tiny 0 one or whatever, but it don't really matter. Use whatever brush you want. If it fits or if it don't fit and you think you can control it best like that, then you just go ahead and do it. So that's all of the yellow painted to this. So I'm going to let the yellow dry, and when I come back, what we'll do is we are going to use Basilicanum Gray, and we're going to go over the gun, and we're also going to go over the feet too as well. So we'll be back after everything is dry to do that part. As I said, the next step is we're going to paint the gun and the boots using Basilicanum Gray. I guess that's how you say it. Contrast paint by Citadel. You have to shake the crap out of this just like all the other ones. And it's, I don't even know how to say this about gun-wise, that sometimes, I guess, sometimes it just kind of hits me the mood to say, like, hey, I'm just going to paint it all Basilicanum Gray, and I'm not going to put the silver underneath it, and it looks good like that. I don't know if anybody paints it like that, but then I kind of started putting the silver underneath it, and then painting it, and it kind of gives it a little bit more of a metallic look, and it saves me from having to dry brush it later. So again, this is just kind of like time to fill up your day when you were doing your own miniatures, or you know, you have that noise in the background while you're painting. A lot of painters that I talk to, they all seem to do that too, where they'll put a movie on or what have you. Now, with me, I'm the same way, not for the painting wise, because actually I started doing it, yes, my bad. But talking on the sculpting wise, like when I'm sculpting a monster mask or what have you, what I do is I will usually find something that is close, or I'm copying. Like if I was doing a Friday the 13th mask, then I would put on Friday the 13th movies. Or again, like that, I would kind of, just to keep me in that inspiration. So what I would be doing here while I'm painting, if I wasn't recording, I'd probably be watching like Judge Dredd gameplay videos on YouTube, or also too, as well as just the movie Judge Dredd. And I'm talking about the Carl Urban one. I still like the Sylvester Stallone one, but I just didn't think it really portrayed Dredd the way it should have been. Because what I understand is Dredd don't take his mask off. Stallone did. And the reason why Dredd don't take his mask off is because he is the face of the law. And, you know, like the law in Mega City 1 is just faceless. That's it. They uphold the law, and that's it. But it's interesting with Judge Dredd that I'm learning it where the type of organization is. It's more of a dictatorship kind of dystopia, and I think that's cool because you like Judge Dredd, you're a hero. You know, he's a hero for you and everything else. But on top of that, like if you do something that you think is fine and ethical, but it don't go with his ethics or Mega City 1 or what have you, then you know, like you can be put in an isocube depending on what you did, or you can, you know, the worst sentence is just death, or actually even the worst sentence, I think what I understand is into the cursed earth would probably be the worst sentence. Not death, because cursed earth I guess would be like you're going into hell. I don't know a whole lot about Dredd, a ton of stuff about Dredd. I'm still learning from reading and researching all the videos and everything that everybody has on there, which is awesome. And it just, I'm picking up so many tips, tricks, and also too as well, it's very, very entertaining for me to watch, because again, I do the same thing. I put it on in the background when I'm painting, just so that I have some noise and so on, just like what I'm sure I'm being used for right now, hopefully, is people putting me on in the background so that they can listen. You know, listen while I don't have to look up and just listen talking and so on. So anyhow, that is it for the Basilicanum Gray. You put like another coat, but I kind of like that you can see through it more. So again, like I said, I don't have to do dry brushing on the gun to make it kind of show a little bit of metal. So you can see this so far, so I'm very happy with this. And the next step, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go in and we're going to do the green. Finally, the skin. Now that we've finished adding the Basilicanum Gray, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the skin, like I said. And the color that we are using is Orc Flesh. It is a contrast, you can see there. And I just mixed it in my palette, and the same ratio was like 7:3 or 3:1, whatever one you want to go by. But in either case, let's start doing the skin. Now, I hope I don't screw this up, because the last time I painted the skin, it kind of, I had to fix it. So let's start with the hand first. Top to the hand. I have to try to take my time. That's what I gotta try to do. Because I screwed it up last time. And I don't want to screw it up this time. And all these ratios that I'm saying, it's what I chose to do for doing the painting. It don't mean that you have to go with this ratio. You can go with a darker one, a lighter one, a different color. Again, like, I find it silly that I'm even saying that, because obviously you're going to go with whatever color you want. Again, this is probably just background noise for everybody, which is no problem at all, because do I like hearing myself talk? No. Do I like being recorded? No. But there's always buts. I do it because it helps me with my mind, keeps me occupied, and I do it because of all of you out there watching and subscribing, because just face it, like I say this before and I'll say it again, it's the channel is where it is because it is of you, the subscribers and the viewers too. But hopefully I want to bring more viewers over to the subscribe. Right now, to be honest, what we really are looking for is a little bit longer watch times there, because that would be great. The analytics is not saying good things about the channel. We're coming on to an anniversary. I think it's July 9th, and it will be a lot of years that we've been on here. You know, I've never really pushed to get subscriptions or push to get viewers or anything else. But if I'm going to start taking this more seriously, and you'll probably think to yourself, more seriously, what have you been doing for the past X amount of years? Like, I did it because it was fun to do. My friends wanted me to put it on from where we play games all the time, over, you know, at my friend's house, or it's mostly my house, excuse me. And, you know, they might as well just record and put it on, and that's where it all started. And it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled from there. And it's all definitely beneficial. It's therapeutic for me, to be honest. And I thank everybody who has been a valued viewer, subscriber, you know, everything. I give gratitude to everybody out there that, you know, has came across the channel and decided to watch something or comment or what have you. I very much appreciate it. And, you know, like, I keep saying this, and it's very, very true, and I would not be here doing this if it wasn't with the help of everybody out there. So thank you to everybody. Now what I'm doing, just to get back into, I screwed the green up a bit. Okay, so what I was saying is what I'm holding the paintbrush one up. Yeah, just 1 second. All right, so what I'm saying with this here, with the green and so forth, is you don't have to have it this dark. You can have it a different color, whatever you want. I was tempted to paint the yellow, like yellow underneath for them, because some of these species or what have you, they do have yellow underbellies. And if they didn't, I would still think of putting them under there, because I think that would be a really cool thing. I'm really trying not to screw up that yellow eye that I paint, and it's just fun. Not screwing up, I mean, it's, yes. But painting, it is a lot of fun. It's another therapy thing that I'd like to do. Playing games on the channel is something that I'd like to do. The only thing is it's hard for me to kind of stay motivated to do anything, not just the channel, but just anything. It's not impossible. It's hard to motivate me and keep me motivated, because it's just the way crazy things are going on right now. But anyhow, that's a different story. But ultimately, what I'm just saying is thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now, back at hand, I am painting, I'm using the green and the orc flesh. And I'm painting it, trying to avoid the yellow eyes that I painted. But I'm going over the teeth that is there. And the reason why is I'm going to be using more of like a layer paint or a base paint, acrylic paint, which is thicker and it covers over things a lot easier, a lot better, got better coverage. Contrast is meant so that you see things underneath it. So, not that you couldn't do the same kind of effect with just any paint, really. You can get it, it just depends on your caliber of painting, I guess. My caliber of painting is learning. That's what I'm doing still. With everything I paint, I learn more, and with watching all of the excellent painters that are online here too as well, that share their talent, it's just inspiring and incredible, and I'm like, I just want to try to do that, or at least get close to that level. So that's what it is. And while I'm talking here, what I did is I did it all with the green. I kept the underneath green but a little lighter, and then I kind of just did a second wet layer over top of the top of the head to give it more of that green color sitting there. So this is going to take a little bit to dry. I noticed the green, it just, for some reason, it took a little bit longer to dry. So I'm just going to take a little break while this is drying. And then we're going to come back, because I think the next thing we need to do is we're going to start of this, but we are not going to touch the base until the base is kind of like the last thing that we do. So anyhow, I'll be back. I'm going to fix up a couple of these screw-ups too as well, while I'm waiting for it to dry. With all that done, all you really need to do if you want to stop here is just paint this base whatever way you want to reflect your game board, or just reflect the area that they're in or what have you. But if you want to continue and just add a little bit more to it, well, I'm going to try to add a little bit more to it. And that is, I'm going to start doing some highlighting on top of it. Now, you don't have to do highlighting again, like I said before with the contrast. It kind of works out so that when you're doing the contrast paint, that it does the contouring and the highlighting for you at the same time if you paint it properly underneath with the white, the zenith, the highlighting, the black, and what have you. And you could leave it at that. But if you want to push a little even further, just stay tuned, because I'm going to try to push it further like I did for like these guys here, just to add a little bit more vibrancy to them, I guess is the best way to say it, because it is Judge Dredd after all. It is based off a comic book, and I wanted to kind of just be a little bit more brighter because it is from a comic book and movie and so forth, video games, big IP address. But anyhow, we're going to start the highlighting, so let's start with that right now. Okay, Board Game Maniacs, now we are going to start doing with the highlighting. And we're going to start off with the yellow, and we are going to be using an AK paint. It is deep yellow. Deep yellow. And all this is kind of like doing an edge highlight. So let's see what I can do here to pop it out a bit. Sometimes what I like doing when I'm doing the edge highlighting is I'll use my finger or thumb just to kind of smoothen it out a little bit. We'll kind of mess that up a bit. Just like that, see? And it kind of gives it somewhat of a gradation, I guess, if you want to think of it like that. So we're just going to continue on here with the yellow. So again, I'm doing just more or less just some edge highlighting. Well, it's a little thick there. And remember, if you screw up a bit, you just gotta fix it. You can see right there, it's starting to pop out a bit more. There's nothing too spectacular to see here. It's only edge highlighting. The only thing you're probably going to see a lot of is my big mug, my big head getting into the shot, because I have to get a little closer. But anyhow, what I'll do is I'll just finish this off and I'll be back after, because I need to get a little closer, and if I get a little closer, I'm going to be just blocking everything. So once I finish this, I'll be back, but you get the idea. It's just edge highlighting with the deep yellow from AK. Now that the deep yellow is finished, you can see here, it does make it pop a lot more. I am not the neatest at edge highlighting, but you know, it's enough. It's not supposed to be completely clean in my eyes anyhow, because these are actual, you know, flesh-eating alien mutant alligator or monsters, crocodiles or whatever, so they're not going to really worry about keeping nice and clean. I wouldn't think anyhow. They'd be more interested in just eating the flesh and trying to take over. I also put the yellow into the eyes, like you can see there. I just dotted them just a little bit to make them pop out. Now the next thing is we're going to concentrate onto the blue of his jumpsuit. And to highlight that, we are going to be using, we're going to the Army Painter's War Paints, and we're going to be using Void Shield Blue. There it is there. Void Shield Blue. Make sure you get this really good shaking. When we do that, now all we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing as that we did, like the edge highlighting here, but it's not edge highlighting really. It's kind of like all the parts that are protruding outward that is also already brighter. We're just going to go over them with that type of blue so that we can use it to our advantage. So let's start doing that now. And this is straight out of the pot. I didn't water it down or anything in any way. So let's just see what we can do here. I'm going to start with the stitching part here, just like this. So it's starting to kind of start showing or popping out. It's creating the stuff that is protruding outward, making it brighter to make it protrude even outward more. You probably hear some noise in the background. That is Tupper, and it's also one of my puppies. You already know Onyx, and I don't know if Duke's been on the channel yet or not, but he's over chewing on a Kong, so that's what we're doing there. That's what he's doing there, I should say, not what we're doing. So anyhow, so now again, all I'm doing is, again, it's not so much a edge highlighting as much as it's just kind of just bringing the wrinkles and the stuff that is protruding outward. You're just making it that much more brighter to make it look like it is actually more going outward than what it actually is. I mean, not what we think, but what it actually is. You can see there, it started. I'm just going to start painting and shut my mouth for a minute because this part needs a little more concentration. There. That part is sticking out. It is. Not in that way either. Get reminded the gutter sick. Oh, I'm the sick. But anyhow. It just slowly, and all I'm doing to this is I'm looking where all the parts are sticking out or standing out, protruding out, the lighter colors, and I'm putting a highlight into it. Now, if there's not enough highlight in there, like there's not enough parts that are kind of protruding outward, and you can just add your own just to make it look better too. Just be careful of where you add them, that it makes sense. All I ask. Well, it's not all I ask, it's all I'm doing. Is it makes sense to me, and once it makes sense to me, then I'm okay with that. So again, you can see me, I'm just going along and adding all the highlights where I think they should go. And as I said, I was going to shut up so that you can just, I can do the highlighting without talking, but as you can tell, I didn't shut up yet. Oh boy. I don't like being quiet on camera. The reason why is it's just dead air. I don't like the dead air. I always got to have some noise going on there on camera. So as you can see, I'm just working around the miniature, just bringing out the highlighted parts. Now my brush is needing to get wet again. There we go. Big difference already. I like this two-tone or two-color combination for painting the blue stuff, because it just makes blue stuff just for painting blue, like this color blue, because it makes things stand out nice. I find some of the highlights aren't really there, like not the highlights, but the parts that are kind of bumping outward or protruding outward. So I'm just adding my own kind of highlight, like I said, where it don't actually exist. It can exist. It can exist anywhere. I'm doing the belt too. He has a blue belt on to try. I guess it's just to hold his suit together. That's what I would think it's for. And as you can see, I'm just going around the miniature, around and around we go. The lights are flickering. Uh-oh. I think there may be an invasion. It may be that my battery is dying on my light. I gotta check that, so I'm gonna go, I'm gonna check that, and I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna come back after I finish all these highlights, and we'll take a look at it from there. Alrighty then. You can see that all of the lighter blue highlights is put on. I think it gives it more of a 3D look to it. I could add a little bit more, but I'm happy with that. I don't want to push it too much because I always end up doing it too much and it starts looking a little ridiculous. That is it. So having said that, we're going to highlight the skin now. And the color we're using for the skin is going to be from Citadel. It's a layer color. It is Ogren Camel. So again, we're doing this straight, no millennium burping, excuse me. No mixing it out like to water it down or anything. And it's pretty simple what we're doing. We're going to use our same brush. And my big head's probably in the way right now. And what we want to do is, we're not going to highlight everything on the skin, but what we want to highlight again is, like, you can see the lovely scales and like all the texture into this, and I think it's awesome for this paint. Again, I'm just adding a little bit at a time and gradation it down a little bit with my finger, just fixing it. And then you can see like all the bumps and texture onto his head. So we're gonna capitalize onto all of this by just adding some dots, just like so. I don't like that so graded down. We're gonna make that pop. Well, try to keep it on in frame. It's been a while since I did any painting video. So yeah, I'm just going and doing some little dots on top of the scales that are awesomely 3D. You can see there, it's really starting to make the pop happen. And the pop of the skin happen. Let's go on his nostrils too. You can see there's like this kind of line that you can follow here. So we're just going to copy that line. So I'm going to continue with this again because I have to get a little more closer, and to do that my big noggin's going to be in the way. So when I'm done adding all the highlights onto the skin, I'll be back, and that's gluing his fingers too as well. You can see there all the highlighting is done onto the skin with the Ogre camo, I think it's called, I'm not sure, and the hands. I'm just trying to move it around so you can see it kind of showing up and glinting, which is really good. I didn't continue the highlighting underneath the neck or anything, which I planned on doing again with some yellow, and I just keep it like this, keep it simple, kind of simple. So anyhow, the next thing we're going to do is we're gonna color in the teeth. Remember, we use the contrast color, the orc flesh, when we went over the teeth. Now we're gonna bring the teeth back out by using some skeleton bone, and this is Army Painter's War Paint again. Really like the Army Painter War Paint. I bought a whole big kit of it, and I really like it. And it kind of put it in the way so I put all of my Citadel stuff in these kind of bottles too as well, because I really like the dropper bottle idea. And also with the Army Painters too as well, I just really like the consistency of the pigment into them, and that, because it goes on nice. Now, I'm sure there's other paints out there that can do the same job or even maybe a little better, but the thing is this is what I like doing. You don't have to use this name brand if you don't want to. So now we're going to go in and we're going to paint his teeth. So let me grab some of that skeleton bone, and we are going to start painting on camera. So I'm just trying to be careful here. Now the other miniatures, they had their mouth open and they had a tongue, and I used contrast Blood Angel Red to do the tongue and gums. So yeah, I'm just painting where I can see the teeth. It's kind of blending in a little bit, but we still got one more highlight to put on top of the teeth by making it bring out a little bit more. We're gonna let that dry just for a second, and then we'll be back with the other highlight. The other highlight that we're putting over the teeth is none other than White Scar by Citadel. And again, it's kind of like just over top. And if the teeth aren't completely dry, the skeleton bone mixed with the white slightly ain't gonna hurt nothing. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Yeah, just the camera, okay. Also too as well, is I think this guy got a couple of his teeth pulled out because he don't have as many teeth as the other ones. But again, his mouth is closed compared to the other Clegg, because they had their mouth opened. The other Clegg, I can see some more teeth hiding in the back. That's pretty good. I'm not a big fan of it, but you know, it'll definitely do. So that is it for that part. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to start doing the base. Nothing but the base. For painting the base now, we are using AK English Gray. I'm a big fan of this gray. You can see it there. AK English Gray. Because what works great with this for the highlight, because this is going to be like the base and then a wash, and then the highlight dry brush is going to be sky gray. And it works really good, as you're going to see, and you've seen on the other miniatures too as well. But we're going to start with just painting the whole base and nothing but the base with this gray, English Gray, aka English Gray. Now, what you could do if you want to try to skip a step for this is that you could probably use like the Citadel Astro. It is a texture paint, and just kind of put it on the base without the sand, obviously, or with the sand, depending on how textured you wanted it. But the thing is you could do that, and it would make it so much more texturized, three-dimensionalized. I don't know what kind of word there to use, but in either case, it would give it more of a better grittiness base, I guess, with that. But I just use sand and glue, I think I use with this. And again, the foam the insulation foam, the pink foam or whatever, to create some rocks or extra large debris. So I'm purposely making this kind of haphazard, kind of where you can see the black coming through, but I'm not putting such a great coverage onto this because I want the black still to show through. But even though I am going to be throwing some known oil onto it too as well, which is the next step. So when this is dry, we'll be back and we're going to be using our lovely shade that we always used, the known oil from Citadel, but we're going to do a 50-50 mix of this to put it down. But anyhow, that's in the future. Right now I have to wait till this is dry, so I'll be back when this is dry. Now, I'm going to do the shade onto this, like I said, and one thing I just want to say is, this here's maybe just a little tip, or just, this is my own little tip to myself, and that is, throughout the painting, what I like to do is change my water out, and the reason why is because, especially if I'm using brighter colors, I don't want any of the dark the mixture or the water where it becomes muddy because of all the colors coming into it. I don't want it to be looking like the white looking pink or looking orange, depending on the color that was into the water. So I always like changing it out between. So also too, I'm going to be using an eyedropper for this step, because what I said is we are going to be doing some wash onto it. We're only going to wash the base, like I said, and the reason why is because I never use the wash in any of these guys. This is all out of focus, but I never use wash on the other two before. I just concentrate mostly on using the contrast paints to make it work and a little bit of highlighting. I could throw some wash onto it and give it a little bit more depth, but I'm happy with the way it is. Don't have to be perfect. Like I said, I'm not a professional painter by any means, and this is just the way I like it. So, known oil, known oil, it's the shade by Citadel. We are going to drop some drops into this bucket, or this cup I should say, and we're going to try to keep it exact. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 drops of known oil. When I say exact, they're the same as opposed to the water. So we're going to do 10 drops of water too as well. So it's a 50-50 mix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Get rid of the excess. Also too as well, another tip for myself is, because I use eyedroppers, I always have to take some Kleenex or paper towel and wipe this off because it gets plugged up. And if it gets plugged up, then I have another thing, and this is great for tools, like for paint and everything too as well. I made my own little tool to unplug, and all this is like a pin, and I removed the head off to it, and I have a piece of wooden dowel. I drilled a little hole, stuck the head of the pin into it like it, and left the pointy tip part out, and I super glued it, and that is, I can poke to clear any spots or any jams that are into the paints, the eyedropper, or anything. So since I put the water and the paint in there, I'm just going to give it a quick little mix, and we don't have to be really super neat about this. So we're just going to start going all over it. Now you can notice that some of this gray is not dry completely. Again, that is because I don't like waiting, and it's a bad thing, because you can see what happens is this black is going to get mixed with the gray, and it's just going to yield another different color gray, and it's not what I want. I want more of a blacker gradation with a little bit of gray. So that's why I'm dabbing it and I'm overloading it, and I'm just going to leave it sit, and it's going to stain and puddle wherever it is, and I'm just going to deal with it because I didn't wait long enough for this gray, the base of the gray base for the base, which is the English gray, to completely dry before I put the wash on like usual. You can see it's kind of washing at the front here, but in either case, we're going to leave it like that, and we're just going to leave it dry. Let's just kind of wisp up a little bit of the extra here. Yeah, because I'm thinking what I might do is just grab the known oil. Where do I put the known oil? There, and I'm going to add some more to it straight out of the pot in some little spots just to try to get rid of that gray mixture. But again, the way that I'm doing it is I'm just dabbing it on. I'm not trying to brush it on and move it around in any way, like so. Alright, so now the next thing we're going to do is just leave this dry and come back to the highlight in the black, and I think we're going to be calling it done after that, but we will wait and see. One thing I want to say about putting water in with the shade to dilute down the intensity of it, another thing that happens is it takes a longer time to dry. So it did take a little bit longer to dry, and this would be a step that you really don't want to jump ahead with, because the highlighting of this, you can see it's still kind of wet there, and I should honestly just leave it dry, but I can't do it. I have to move on. So we're gonna do dry brushing. I got my little tiny dry brush that I got from I bought it at Mecca Games here in on Niagara Falls, Ontario. Well, St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And this here, it's an army painter, and it's Masterclass Miniature Dry Brush. And it came in a pack of 3, and this is the smallest of them. And I use makeup brushes a lot, but I seen these, that'd be really cool. So that's what I am doing, is I'm using this to dry brush the base. And I'm dry brushing it with Sky Gray. I don't know if I said that yet or not, but Sky Gray, it's an AK paint. And again, it goes great with the darker gray that I put on it first, which is the English Gray. Is that what it's called? Yeah, English Gray is the darker one. But now I'm putting on Sky Gray, which is the lighter one. So I'm just getting some on my brush here. Oh, that was close. And I am doing a good hefty dry brush coat. Like when I say hefty, I mean like a heavier dry brush. More paint on my brush. But that's pretty easy. Very simple going on. Not much left to this actually to say, yeah, you know what, I'm finished. And I'm happy with the result. So we only got probably one more step to go, and then that will be it for painting this clay. So hang on 1 second and I'll get everything set for the last step. We are on to the second last step of this, but this is the last step of the video, because the final step is going to be just to seal it with whatever kind of sealer you use. I don't need to record that. I never record it because it's obvious how you do that. It's not hard. But the last step is we're going to paint the rim of this black as well as the bottom, because I like the way it finishes, because instead of having, because these are wooden bases that I got from Mecca Games, because they do sell these, and the Mecca Games, but it's 6 Squared Studios, but they sell them at Mecca Games. You can go to meccagames.com or .ca, either one of those, I can't remember. I think it's .com, but you can go there and then you can order them and so forth, and they do ship. But anyhow, I'm going to paint this with the black, but I'm going to be using the AK paint, and it is black, because I really like, I'm not even on camera, I really like this color black. And there's the number if you want to get it for yourself. You'll see how black it is. It's nice. I really like it. So let's try to get this in focus here. All I'm doing very easy is just going around the rim like so. And after that, we're going to paint the bottom of it too. I don't even really know why I'm recording this step, because it's not anything that, you know, if you were able to paint this guy to any level, just to paint him, like painting a rim is probably not that difficult for you. So when this is all set, that is it, just painting the black. So I hope you enjoyed this Board Game Maniacs for painting the clays into this campaign series video for the Judge Dredd miniature game. This all started when I seen Judge Dredd on the Lost starter set, and it just again got me hooked again. I didn't know that it was previously created by or sold by Mongoose Publishing, I think it's called. I have a lot of the old miniatures for that I'm going to be painting up, and 2 as well. Like, they're going to be included into the campaign, but these are from the Warlord games. I'm really in love with these ones, like I said, because of the detail and the size. It's easier for me to see and paint these with my old eyes, especially using even using the jewelry glasses that I have on. But anyhow, hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this painting tutorial, and also what you think of the campaign. How do you like it going so far? How do you like how it's going so far? I don't know exactly where this is at into the campaign, but this is connected to one of the floors, which you will probably know because Dredd is fighting them possibly. And there's my dog telling me, yeah, it's time to stop rambling and turn the video off. So have fun. We'll see you next time, and be a maniac. Yeah, everyone stop. Ah!